Hello everyone, today we are going to find out what makes a bad player in Final Fantasy XIV. Zepla made a video about it and I also have like some ideas and thoughts what could be considered a bad player in Final Fantasy XIV by the community, and yeah, let's get into it. I'm really curious on what she has to say.
Hey Buns, so a couple days ago, I got a DM from somebody who said that they had heard me talk about bad players. Can you get into more details of that? Because I suck, and playing team games and raids are a pain for me because I don't like talking to people. I just want to play the game solo if possible, but
So he assumes because he's saying he's bad or
They
what?
heard me talk about bad players in the context of a conversation about boosting. Someone else had brought up the argument that if you pay real money to level your character, it's more likely you'll be bad because you'll end up with a ton of high-level skills that you have no idea how to use. Now, that's of course assuming you don't take the time to read the tooltips and figure it out. But I had countered that by saying that you can absolutely be bad without boosting. Like, as far as I know, there's no alternate ending to Heaven's Word where Harshaphon teaches you how to slide cast. But I thought this was a really good question that a lot of new players might want some more clarification on. Like, what?
But that is actually true. Like, okay, I'll give you guys an example. Like, if someone starts to play a game like Final Fantasy XIV, for example, with the intention of being a role player, for example, and you only play the game because you're up here, right? Then you probably won't learn much about combat or don't focus so much that even if you at some point reach end game, you're probably gonna suck. So yeah, it's possible.
Actually makes you a bad player, what qualifies as good or at least decent. To me, being bad means that you're not only performing like shit, but you also won't listen to anyone. You won't look up guides, you won't read your tooltips, you are willfully ignorant.
I've met people like that. I had to tell them 3 times something.
You know everything, that you think that there's nothing that any other person could say that could possibly be helpful to you, the one who the universe revolves around. Like, you think the sun comes up just to hear you crow. I think there's a really big and important difference to be made here between being bad and learning. Because, as I'm fond of quoting Jake the dog, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at it.
True, because you learn from your mistakes.
I just didn't even know what to focus on or what was important, and my attention, I'm a little bit scatterbrained anyway, naturally, and so my attention was all over the place, and I didn't know like where to focus it. I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants through the story, having fun wherever I could find it, and not stressing too much about anything in particular. But however, whenever I did join a static and there was a helpful person in my group who let me know, hey, do you know your DPS could be a little better? Or, hey, do you know that materia is really important? Or,
that's
hey,
a nice way to...
your dots keep falling off. I didn't know any of that, but once that was brought to my attention...
Hey, but it's like nice if someone says it that way. Like, imagine you get like messages like, hey, we can clear this because your DPS sucks, or hey, your DPS is too low, there's no way we can continue, let me kick you or something. Like, that's what happens in World of Warcraft. Or if they like check your gear and like, wait, what, you're wearing this? Sorry, item level not high enough. Yeah, bye bye.
And
oh wow,
this very helpful person showed me how to use an abacus to check my damage and stuff like that. Anyway, they were very helpful. They showed me like, once I got that information,
that's nice.
I was very, very receptive to it, and I listened, and it helped me become a much better player. Maybe
that's
some
important.
People would have said I was bad, but I think that I showed a willingness to learn, and I was very interested in all the advice I could get my hands on, and I started like watching guides about how to play my job. And so I personally, looking back at myself, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was a bad player, even if I was playing kind of bad at the time. That might be another important distinction to make. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit...
Oh, that reminds me of a friend of mine in Elder Scrolls Online. He said like, hey, I play pretty bad, but hey, you know what? I'm not that bad, right? Like, I'm bad, but not that bad. Oh, I remember this dude from Elder Scrolls Online. Like, I'm getting now some flashbacks of my earlier MMO phases. Oh wow.
bit too final to call somebody, oh, you're a bad player, because it sounds like there's nowhere to go from here. Like, this is just a label that you have on yourself.
At least if you're not stuck,
grow
you
out of
can
it.
grow.
Instead, I prefer to say, you know, maybe I'm playing bad. I am playing bad on Samurai right now. It's kind of like how my dad used to say,
on
you're
Samurai?
being an idiot. Instead of saying you're
Samurai
an
is so
idiot,
easy.
he would never do that, and he would say, look, I'm not calling you an idiot, but you're being an idiot. You're acting like an idiot right now. You're acting like one. And I feel like that might be the same kind of logic I'm applying here in a lot of cases to players who are not doing the best on a job, but it's like only right now. And it's natural. It is a natural step in the progression towards becoming a little better. You can't skip over that step of sucking. Oh, maybe some extreme players can, but most of us can't.
Like, it's kind of like that in life, and that applies to everything. Like, you need to know your limits or what makes you fall in order to cross that border and get on a higher level. Like, okay, let me guys give you an example. You're going to the gym and you're lifting, let's say 10 you're lifting, let's say 10 kilogram weights. And then you want to grab the 50 kilogram weight and you're like, that's my limit. I can't go further. Then what do? You come back again. You go from 10 to 20. The next time you go to 30 and then you increase and then you get to like 50 or something. And that's how you do it. Like, you need to know your limit in order to cross it, like to get higher, right? So it's very important.
Got to wade through it and not be too hard on yourself.
That applies to everything in life.
While you're moving through that. And, you know, it might even be helpful for you to be able to identify when you are performing poorly on a job, or if there's some jobs that you are doing a little better on than other jobs. So that way you can improve. Because like I said before, the players who are straight up bad are the ones who don't want to improve. They are willingly refusing help.
I wonder what their thought on this is.
They are really stuck in that rut, and that's why I would label them as bad, because I mean, where can they go if they don't want to help themselves?
Like, what I'm always wondering is, like, about those kind of people that she's describing, those that suck and they don't want to improve. Like, what's the reason they don't want to improve? Is it like some sort of like ego, and they have like a big ego and they're like, oh, if somebody else has a different opinion than me, like, I don't listen to them. I just have my own opinion, and my opinion is above everyone else's. Like, is it like an ego thing? Or is it like they're having fun playing bad, and if they play good, they don't have fun because maybe it's too stressful for them or something? Like, there are some people that really hate stress or something. They want to take everything easy. And you could say they're also bad players because they just don't want to do anything that's like too difficult. They probably run anyway like very easy dungeons. They won't go for like savage and higher. But like, I'm wondering if this is like a comfort thing or if it's like a ego thing. Maybe it's like both. Like, maybe there are this kind of people and this kind of people. I guess that's how it is.
Being able to tell which jobs you are doing good at, which jobs that you could use a little help on, that is going to be that's good. That's something that would separate you from someone who is straight up bad. And remember too that being bad or playing badly now on a certain job doesn't mean you're going to be bad on that job forever, and it doesn't mean that you're bad at every job in the game.
Oh, I was so bad on Machinist and I got really good on it.
I mean, I think I'm pretty decent on Dancer, but you put me on Samurai, you put me on Ninja, I would play like crap. And that's okay. I don't feel bad about that. I feel like it would kind of be boring if I just woke up and it was immediately amazing.
Because you don't have a goal to strive towards
anymore. Part of the fun for me is the process of learning all there is to know about a job and practicing it and like watching how you're getting better.
Plus, you feel fulfilled and happy when you reach a certain point of betterment.
For me, some of the ways that you can gauge how you're doing overall is ask yourself, have I been able to clear quest battles, like solo instances, on their intended difficulty? Okay, like if you can only clear these solo duties on easy mode or very easy mode,
oh my god,
I hate to say it, but you are not doing well on the job that you're
playing. Go to a target dummy and practice.
Your gear is decent. Like if your gear is around the right item level that you would need for that solo duty, and you're failing it on, unless you put it on easy or very easy, it's clear that either you need to work on your rotation because you're not.
Warum sollten Sie bei eToro in Aktien investieren?
Mit eToro kann ich in globale und lokale Aktien.
You're not able to meet even the most basic GPS checks in there. You're not listening to what the NPCs are telling you to do, or you don't know how certain mechanics work. Like you've got to be able to make it through these quest battles on the normal difficulty. Also, check how you're doing on Stone Sky Sea. I know it's not perfect. I complain about it all the time, but especially if you're a healer, like it's not super good at all if you're a healer. But it is a solid tool just to check how your rotation is.
As a healer with DPS, it's always tricky to find out if you're doing well.
You can rest assured that you're performing quite well, and you're doing more than enough for the normal or hard mode content at least.
Yeah, but on healer, like this is the problem that I think is in Final Fantasy IV when it comes to like healer DPS check or something like that. If you're on a healer, how much DPS you output is also determined by your group, you could say, right? So if you have like a decent group that dodges like all mechanics and that plays decent, like you side heal them, you like focus on DPS and you basically side heal them, right? Like, yeah, you're still a healer, but you're just sometimes healing. But if you have like a group that's dedicated to run into freaking mechanics that don't keep their stuff up, yeah, then of course, you as a healer, you don't know if you're bad or if you're good, for example, because you're so busy just spamming heals on your group mates and you can't even keep up a damage rotation. And yeah, all healers have a damage rotation. Healers hit crazy hard. Like on my Scholar, I have actually pretty good numbers DPS wise, but if I'm sometimes on a Scholar and then I get into a group where people constantly stand in AoEs and they like low health, I have to constantly spam my heals. Like I had situations like that and I barely DPS a boss. Like I had situations only 3-4 damage skills in a whole boss fight because of freaking people standing in stuff. Like I kept just my dots up and I got only like 2-3 cast through. Like it's literally because people kept falling low health all the time because they didn't dodge anything.
One sign of a good player, and this is especially true of Sprouts, is, you know, being able to take note of mechanics, what they look like, and remember that and respond accordingly in the future. That's one of the things that I think leveling normally and not boosting will help you a lot with, because you will have to go through a bunch of different dungeons, and as you go through them, you'll start to recognize the patterns of the different mechanics. And it's okay if you mess it up the first few times.
Yeah, because you learn that way. I died to mechanics a few times and now I don't anymore.
If you see these same mechanics over and over and over and over and you keep dying every single time,
and your brain AFK or something.
Check and see, like, what's going on? Am I not noticing the mechanic going off? Am I like tunneling? There's no shame though, I think, in dying to mechanics that you've never seen before. And look, we all make mistakes. We all derp from time to time.
Like the vault chains, 2 players connected, what must I do?
I have failed to a mechanic that I had seen, and that's a point when I usually ask myself, hey, am I really tired right now? Do I need a break right now? Why did that happen? Do I need to focus a little harder? You know, you need to be able to self-reflect on that and not immediately point the finger at somebody else like, oh, it was actually their fault. Like usually when something goes wrong, the first question I ask is, what could I have done better? Was it me? Was it my fault? Or did I ever do everything all right? But there are some people who, and I would call these people bad players, people who the last person that they would point at is themselves when they got it backwards. You're the first person you need to check, because you're the only person you actually really have any control over. So it's a little crazy for me when people don't check themselves at all, are not interested at all in how they're doing, are quite lazy with their approach and their attitude to the game, and yet they go into a group content
and ego. Some have big ego.
Else who have done their research and to know what's going on, you know. And by the way, you know, you don't have to min-max to be good. You don't have to be like a super pro at your job or anything to do most.
You just need to survive.
In the game. Having a general idea of how your job works, how your spells work together, is not rocket science. It's not something that's going to take you 5 hours of YouTube tutorials to figure out. Like literally just find a little.
One thing that I love so much about Final Fantasy XIV dungeons and raids, there isn't actually really a DPS check or something. Like all the dungeons I did, there could be people that don't do good DPS, but they survive long enough and we can still clear it. Like that's a cool thing in Final Fantasy XIV I've noticed. There are not so many phases where there's like a DPS check. Okay, there are like some where you have to like wipe ads quickly if you don't, like you fail this, but there aren't like super hardcore ones where you need to have the perfect DPS. Like I was in groups with people that were like new to a job and had a shit rotation because they are new to the job, but they're experienced Final Fantasy XIV players. But it's their first time on this certain job. And they know how to dodge mechanics, but they don't know their rotation, but we still cleared stuff. So yeah, that's what I mean.
If you got some questions, and ask some people in your FC, or hell, even in my Discord server, and there's many people that will help you figure it out. It's not going to be, I think some people just build it up so much in their mind that they think, oh my god, this game is so complicated and there's so much to learn.
It's not.
It's also complex and it's so in depth. I'm never going to be able to figure it out. So it just, I think some people get intimidated and they push away from even learning the most basic things about their game that are really not hard to get down.
Yeah.
People kind of get into this mode of it's one or the other. It's either I'm gonna chill and be like more or less lazy and not pay attention to what's happening on my screen, or I have to be like super high end and I need to like be the best and I've got to min-max and like, oh, I've got to be super into it. It really isn't one or the other. It's more or less like a spectrum between one side and the other side. It's really better if some people would make more of an effort to put in a little effort instead of getting super intimidated by their perception of how difficult or complex things will be to learn. It can take weeks or months to become incredibly good at the job you are playing, but in the meantime you can be
many hours of practice.
You can be quite good. I mean, you can be all right. You can be decent.
Yeah, being average is enough.
You can be someone that people want to have around, that people want to invite to their groups. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to get to that point.
True.
This is a fairly simple video. I just wanted to get my thoughts.
Plus, the community is very social.
This person who asked me what is my definition of a bad player, because as I said, I think there's a difference between someone who would say bad player because they just don't care about getting better.
Yeah, that's an ego thing, I believe.
Might just be bad at the job they're playing right now, and that is okay. It's okay to be temporarily bad so long as you are actively working towards becoming a little bit less bad, because it's natural to have that bad step in the learning process. As we've been over, the learning process is good. It's something to be embraced. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to get super defensive about either, or to shame yourself about, because it shouldn't take too long for you to go from bad to
decent.
Half bad.
Yeah, half bad, half decent, whatever.
Good. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But I really think that every single player has the capability to improve to the point that they can do all of the high-end content in the game.
Yeah.
I
think it's pretty possible in FF14.
Charitable opinion on this than a lot of other players might, but I have a background as a teacher, and I think that
Zepla
give up on themselves way too soon, and they don't see the potential within themselves. And so a lot of times through this YouTube channel, I try to encourage people to jump out of their comfort zone a little bit, challenge themselves a little more.
She's a language teacher, right?
By how much improvement that they will see, but I want them to enjoy the process of improvement as well. I think the only thing that will keep you playing bad and that will prevent your progress, that will hurt you more than anything else, is you.
Yeah.
Is you either not believing that you can do better, or you refusing to look critically at what went wrong.
Yeah, that's often the case with people that suck. Big ego.
If there's anything you could have done better, like if there's anything you could change,
or too much comfort,
or adjust to do a little better. Are there any aspects of the game that you would consider yourself to be quite bad at? Do you remember? Like,
I think I'm bad at role changing.
Good at something in the game, but you remember a time when you were not so good at it, and what helped you move from there to where you're at now? I think that might be really helpful for.
I have one big weakness. I will tell you in a moment.
Below. If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button.
Yeah, please subscribe.
With your fellow warriors
also to my channel,
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Oh, wow. So yeah, the definition basically of a bad player is someone that's either with a too big ego to correct their mistakes, or someone that's just too lazy, too comfortable, and like, I want to chill play, I don't want to really try hard, like, everything has to be slow. Yeah, of course, like, if you are one of those two players, then you really suck. And this has nothing to do with boosting, okay? Like, you can boost and you can suck for like a week and then you get good, okay? Because you have to learn it anyway. like the rotation to do something and finish it. But yeah, for example, I have one thing I'm really bad at in Final Fantasy XIV, and I've noticed that when I like role change. So I really suck at role changing. If I play too long on a DPS and then I switch back to, let's say, Scholar, for example, like I behave like a DPS, and I'm sometimes like AFK healing, and then okay, like I have still a good reaction time because maybe because I'm a hardcore gamer, I have like pretty fast reflexes or something. But I had situations on my Scholar a few times when I was like playing DPS for too long, where I would like let players almost die. They would like go really low health until I healed them, and I'm like, I should have done this when they were like at half their health, but not when they had like 10% left. And this was because I was like AFK healing, because I was so focused on DPSing, because I got used to the role DPS for too long. But after like 2 dungeon runs, I was back naturally into healing and stuff. But yeah, to adjust can be tricky, can take time, but if you don't want to adjust, then you're a bad player, that's true. Wow, very interesting video. I share pretty much the same opinions as Zepla. Like, yeah, I also think that this with the comfort and laziness and with the ego, those are the downfalls of a player getting better, and that's what ultimately makes a bad player. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and don't forget to like this video, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.